Welcome to Celebrate a Sister podcast. I'm your host, Emma Walkinshaw. I'm a transformational coach. I'm also the founder of Embody Me program and the creator of 21 Minutes of Morning Magic. You may also find me on the yoga mat leading yoga sessions and also running retreats here in Australia and internationally. Here on the podcast, I bring you some pretty incredible guests. We talk all things self-belief, body acceptance, personal development, outdated beauty standards, and we also call BS on the toxic diet culture, accepting the beautiful bodies we were born into, letting go of all the beliefs, and raising our self-awareness. I also come to you from time to time with a little solo episode, a little Life According to Emma moment. I'm so glad you're here. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Celebrate a Sister. Today, I come to you on this podcast with a little review of 2024. And I kind of debated, do I do this podcast because it felt a little bit self-indulgent and a little bit all about me. But I'm hoping by me sharing, it will inspire you to perhaps reflect on your 2024, looking at all of the things you have achieved or all of the things that were tricky and that you'd like to change next year, or invite more of what into your life. As you know, last week's podcast, if you listened, was all about your word for the year, and I'm a big believer in this. And as I mentioned last podcast, my words over the years have evolved. Years ago, it was to be visible. Then it was to be committed and consistent. And I swear I would not have got a book into motion without that. And that launched this year. That's one of my highlights this year. But it took me that year of committed and consistent to actually write the bloody thing. And then, of course, this year has been Embody. Embody has been... I say that I've lived this word and felt this word to around about 80% this year. I feel like I've still got probably 20% I need to work on. But let me share with you how 2024 has been for me. And let me say, this is going to sound at times a little bit like, and you can have an eye roll, a little bit like a bloody Instagram reel. But I'm also going to share with you the couple of, and I try not to swear on the podcast, but I've had to eat a couple of shit sandwiches this year. Everyone has. Every year we have to, right? But for most part, they've been nice sandwiches like honey and jam, but from time to time there's been the odd shit sandwich thrown in. So what has happened for me this year? I'm going to run through my little list, and my mentor had us do this from a business perspective, and I've kind of thrown in some great little, not great, but thrown in some kind of life stuff. So this year I grew the incredible community. Well, I didn't grow it. The community grew itself. However, I'm just privileged to lead 21 Minutes of Morning Magic 3 mornings a week. So the Facebook group 21 Minutes of Morning Magic now has over 500 women in the group. And I know not all of you get online and meet me at the 6 a.m. in the morning because some of you live in other countries and in other states. But those of you who do join me live, I know many of you watch the replays. And to be honest, the group is such an anchor in my life. It has been such a great thing for me to practice and to show up for you and to be in community. So I want to thank you all. For those of you who are part of 21 Minutes of Morning Magic, the free group on Facebook, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are most definitely a source of joy for me, so thank you. And anyone who's listening and is not part of 21 Minutes of Morning Magic and would love a morning practice, please, there'll be a link in the show notes, so jump in there, come and join us. I started 2024 with hosting Let's Soar 2024, and I had beautiful women join me face-to-face on Saturday and on a Sunday. I ran two of them, and then I did an online one. And like I mentioned last year, everyone chose their word. And this year, I'm running the same, well, it's going to be the same workshop, but different. Same, but different, because I'm not the same person. I've evolved. So it's called Feel Alive in 2025. So that is another offering I've got coming in January. So if you live on the Gold Coast, definitely come and join me face to face, although it is limited in spots. So if you want to join me, jump into that ASAP. Otherwise, you can join me online. Then in February, this has got to be a huge highlight for me, what I did in February. And I had a lot of trepidation on the how. It was a lot of work. It was so much work, but so worth it. I ran an online summit called Body Love Revolution Online Summit, and I had 12 incredible women join me. So what I mean by that is I interviewed 12 incredible women. And I learned the month of February for me in 2024, I turned 48 in February. I ran this summit and I learned so much about myself, about what I believed about beauty standards, what I believed about diet culture, what I believed about aging. And I must rewind a touch. Before the summit happened, I, of course, was doing all the interviews in January, and I had an invitation by my dear friend Yogi Louie to go with her and a group of women out into the bush and celebrate her 50th birthday, which was a coming into the mega phase of womanhood, leaving behind motherhood and stepping into this midlife, or as we all know it as menopause stage, and just this aging with grace. Yogi Louie was a guest on my online summit. And when I went out into the bush with the other women with Yogi Louie to do lots of beautiful rituals and secret women's business, it was such a cracking open for me. I had been grieving my son finishing school and my children leaving home. As much as I adore my husband, I went through this heavy heart about, gosh, all that I knew has changed. And then put aging on top of that, menopause. I'm also started just after that using HRT, hormone replacement, a bioidentical hormone replacement under a menopause clinic, a doctor here on the Gold Coast, and that has been life-changing. So January for me was lots of heavy heart. I go with Yogi Louie out into the bush, and then this beautiful awakening happens and an acceptance of aging. Then the Body Love Revolution I hosted in February had these 12 women, and a lot of them, actually all of the interviews are on YouTube. So I'll put the link in the show notes as well. So go forth, have a look at some of the conversations that I had with women that were in all different fields. So for instance, I had Sab, who is an artist who gets women to send her a photo of their naked body and she draws them and then they fill it in like a paint and sip. That was incredible. My dear cousin Laurie, I turned that into a podcast because I loved it so much. That was all about her having grey hair. I had beautiful Lainey who talks about tapping and the emotional freedom technique. I had Emma Gilmore who talks about intuitive eating and not drinking alcohol in midlife. I look, the list goes on. 12 incredible women that just shifted my perception. When our world becomes small and we don't connect with other people who have different views, sometimes I know myself, my world's come a little bit small at times, and I've just kind of stayed in this little sheltered protective circle of friends. It's so good to listen to other people's perspectives. I think that's why I love the medium of podcasting so much, because we have this opportunity. The other thing I did was, of course, after the Body Love Revolution Summit, the beautiful Sab, who I mentioned, I actually hosted a paint and sip event with her, and it was all on body confidence. And that was just a gorgeous night that we ran. All the beautiful women that came painted their bodies and just had a beautiful acceptance in who they are, and we got to celebrate each other. Then in March, I hosted with my gorgeous Yogi Louie, who I've just mentioned. We hosted our first retreat in India. This was a massive highlight for me in 2024. Yogi Louie and I had set that goal. Well, I'd actually set this goal back in 2016. The first time I went to India, I said, it was a moment when I remember I was after yoga class and I sat there and I said, to myself, I'm going to bring women back to India and I'm going to run a retreat here because this place is phenomenal. This place is about transformation. So of course I did. So it took me a few years, but the time was right. Yogi Louie and I had created a retreat in Byron Bay. And I say about running retreats, I've run retreats by myself. And I've co-hosted with retreats. And I said to Yogi Louie, would you co-host this retreat? Let's do it in India. Would you co-host the retreat in Byron? And she said yes to both. And I said, I can run a good retreat, but with you, I can run a phenomenal retreat. So that's what we did. We ran some phenomenal retreats. And of course, we are hosting that retreat again in India 2025, March 2025. So we did sell out, but then we had a cancellation. So there is currently a spot left. So if you're listening to this and that speaks to your heart, I have one spot left for India 2025, March 2025. So you're welcome to join me. So India has a whole personality of its own, as you can imagine. It's quite polarizing at times, and it is certainly sights, sounds, and sensations. So if India speaks to your heart, come and join me. The next beautiful little milestone of 2024 for me was having the book launch of my book, 365 Days of Morning Magic. So I wrote this little darling, then went through the process, which, to be perfectly honest, was quite frustrating. So I self-published and talk about, here's one of my shit sandwiches. So I had it formatted and the formatting wasn't right. So then it had to go back and get reformatted. It was a lot of faffing around and a lot of hoo-ha. And perfectly honest, through my lack of probably, which is me, fast and loose, through my lack of research, I paid twice for formatting. So that was just a rookie mistake, let's say it. So our beautiful book that is out in the world matches our 21 Minutes of Morning Magic Facebook group. And I've sold over 500 copies and I'm incredibly proud of that. So that's been great. Then, of course, Celebrate a Sister podcast, which had been in my year of the word committed and consistent. I said that I would create a podcast and I did. Here we are. And I said I'd finish the book and I did. So that was through having my two words, committed and consistent, kept me with my rudder in the water and focused on where I was heading. So our beautiful Celebrate a Sister podcast has had over 3,500 downloads. So to you, thank you for listening. And I've recorded over 12 months. I've recorded and been on other people's podcasts. I think it's close to 90 podcasts. So that is just phenomenal to think about that. The year goes so quick, but when you look back, you think, what did I do this year? And when you go, oh yeah, 90 podcasts. Yeah, I've talked a lot. And then in the midst of this 2024, I rewrote and delivered the Embody Me program and launched it. And I actually ran it live to some women. So that was really fabulous. I enjoyed that. That program now has had another re-evolution and a new a new facelift. It used to be called the Clarity Catalyst, and then I went ahead and just reshaped it and rechanged it. So that was Embody Me. Then in the midst of all of this, we decided to renovate our house, but the renovation was a bit crazy in terms of we couldn't live in the house. So it was such a wonderful gift to move to Coolangatta, to live in an apartment by the beach for 6 months. And the apartment is just in the most magical location. So even though I had to pack up the house and move out and then go through the renovation process, it really was the most perfect scenario. I feel incredibly grateful that we were able to do that. So the house, of course, many decisions were made with renovating a house, as we know. And it was one of my goals this year too, was to renovate the house to the best of my ability for it to be a money-making project, so to enhance our house. And that's what we've done, I believe. Not that we've sold it and I can quantify that yet. However, we did really good with that. So that was really cool. So during the process of the renovating the house, though, there was a shit sandwich in there. Of course there was. I went over budget. And anyone who's built or renovated a house knows that when you go over budget, it can be really stressful. And look, I am such a blessed human being, and it even sounds stupid even saying this, going, oh, well, there was financial stress. Well, there was financial stress because things just moved, as we know when you start to renovate a house. So, for example, what went over budget for us was we didn't realize where this could blow out, but our electrics blew out when they started to, redo all of our lighting. Of course, the house had to be rewired because the house was old, and there was, just a few curveballs like that, which blew the budget out. And then when we got to the end of the process, there was three extra invoices that I was not expecting. The first one I kind of copped and went, oh God, okay, can deal with that. But the next two, freaking stressful. Anywho, good problems to have, but not always fun, right? And, I look back and go, gosh, did I blow out the budget? Yeah, there was probably a couple of things where I was a bit fast and loose and perhaps could have got a better deal. But anywho, these things happen. Moving on. Also, during that process of renovating the house, husband and I had quite a few fights. I remember one day, like one of our stupid fights was over a cactus, where to put a cactus in the front yard. And we had this full blown fight in front of the builder. And it wasn't, and like we laugh about it now. And the poor builder, he was like going, oh God, I don't want to be involved in this bloody marriage dispute over a stupid cactus. But it's funny how when just pressure builds, you then sometimes, it's about a stupid cactus, right? Lots of decluttering happened in this process of this year. So decluttering is such a wonderful thing. And does anyone know the work of Denise Duffield Thomas? She talks a lot about the energetics of decluttering and the energetics of out with the old, in with the new, and that stagnant energy. When we feel stagnant energy, I also love a bit of feng shui. Not that Denise Duffield Thomas talks about feng shui, but feng shui is huge around decluttering and positioning new furniture. So this year, 2024, has been a huge declutter and so freeing. Oh my gosh, I've gotten rid of so much stuff. Not overly happy with my unconsciousness and the landfill that happens. So I'm really mindful. Even coming into Christmas now, I just don't want to buy people shit. I would rather give an experience or give them money so they can buy shit. It's not on my conscience. No, I would rather, just give an experience or something that they use. Even I'm going to give an example. My beautiful cousin who I've just seen, I've just been to Noosa for a night and to see my cousin, which was absolutely wonderful. And she bought me the most gorgeous lipstick, but she knows me very well. She bought this lipstick for me and I was just so happy. And the beautiful thing about that too is it's something I'm going to use. So it wasn't stuff. So that was that great tip, like skincare. If you know someone really, really well and you know the skincare they like or you know the lipstick they like, I thought it was a great idea. So I was chuffed. So thank you, darling cousin. Also, what else has been a massive guiding light for me this year is being dedicated to my morning ritual. And of course, like I've mentioned, the 21 Minutes of Morning Magic community, you are such a blessing and such an anchor in my life. So thank you all. I have seen many sunrises and I've seen many sunsets this year, and particularly living at Coolangatta at the apartment by the beach. I was just in heaven. In heaven. If you were to look at my camera roll, it's filled a lot with sunrises and sunsets. The other thing that I have done this year too is it's been a year of travel, a massive year of travel. So I have been to India with Yogi Louie, ran the retreat. Then I had this incredible opportunity to go with my mum and my two children to Europe. So we were away 3 weeks. We did Scotland. Then we went to beautiful Malta, over to Gozo to see my brother and his family. And then mum and I went, and Ruby went to Italy, and Sunny headed home. So I've had, this year I have actually had 7 weeks overseas. I also had then a week in New Zealand. So it's been absolutely incredible. But again, I want to say, and this sounds like shut up, Emma, it's not even a problem, but traveling with my mother and my two children in Europe, I had my moments. I certainly had my moments. So it wasn't all an Instagram reel, I promise you. There was quite a few fights and a bit of biffo we had, but we survived. But again, an incredible year of travel. The other thing that I did was I wrote and recorded and launched the Body Love Bootcamp, my online course. So that for me was something that I had in my heart that I wanted to write, create, deliver, and put out into the world. And it took me, I'm not even going to lie here. I woke up for 6 weeks every day saying, today I'm going to finish that course. I'm actually going to start writing it. It took me 6 weeks to even start it, even though it was in my heart. And I kept saying, what is the block here? What is stopping me? So I want to ask you, is there something in your heart that you know you want to do, you want to achieve, you want to create? What is it that's stopping you? And I know what was stopping me about the Body Love Bootcamp. And it's only through, I'm going to tell you how this has all come about. And it's been working with a kinesiologist. And it really was the fear of being criticized. So, Body Love Bootcamp, although I do not talk about food, I do not talk about exercise, I talk about the mindset of letting go of the diet culture, the mindset of letting go of beauty standards, and mindset that just has us thinking, why am I doing these things because everybody else is doing it? And it was very much the vibe of the body love revolution as well. You know, for instance, we talked about beauty standards. You know, why are we coloring our hair if we don't want to? Because we think grey hair is makes us look old, or grey hair says that you're old and you're past your use by date. Why am I going on these diets? Why am I doing these things? And I am all about body autonomy, and I'm all about you doing whatever your heart desires. If you want to have Botox, if you want to go on the diet, if you want to, example, go on Ozempic or whatever it is, that body autonomy, do whatever your heart desires. But look underneath it. Why you're doing it is because it's an unworthiness thing. Skinny at all costs. If I'm not skinny, I'm worth nothing. If I'm not skinny, no one will take me serious. If I'm not skinny, I don't match what I think I am. I don't look smart enough. Whatever. If I don't lose weight, I'm never going to get the man. And let's be honest, if that is the case, that man is not worth it. If a man is dating you for your dress size, not worth it. Absolutely. Like, that is so shallow. But anyway, that's probably another podcast. I could rant about that all day. But getting back to the Body Love Bootcamp, the online program that I've written, created, recorded, and I'm incredibly proud of, was really a fear of me speaking my truth, what I really think. So that was massive for me. Hence, I woke up every morning for 6 weeks and did not start it, even though it was on my list. It was my goal. The other thing that I celebrated this year was I have an incredible team member, Carline, who is my EA. Carline and I had our 1 year anniversary. I think we've been together now like 17 months. So she's been instrumental in keeping me going. And I even shared with her and in our team meeting with the staff a couple of weeks ago that there has been times this year when I've got to the end of the week and I have felt like I have not achieved anything and that I'm useless and I'm not smart enough and I felt like a complete failure. I'm going to get emotional when I say this. And Carline, my EA, has been the one that's messaged me on a Friday because she's known that I've had a really tough week with just staying the path and speaking my truth and bringing my message to the world, which isn't always easy, to actually speak up and actually speak your heart in a way that is kind and considerate and not offensive. And there is also that fear that I'm going to be criticized if I actually speak my truth, which is something I'm working through. And I'm going to get to that, what also has transpired this year around that. So Carline has often, when I'm meant to be the leader, leading her and her soft landing and her support person, she's often sent me a message on a Friday night saying, you did a good, she'll even use the word boss. You did good, boss. It's been a great week. We can do this. And, when you have a team member that is there that can hold you when you cannot hold yourself, that is priceless. So my dear Carline, who will listen to this when she edits it, again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. My 2024 is much richer because of you. And then let's move on to my other things that I'm proud of this year. Being a guest on Tina's podcast. So Tina Tower is my mentor, and that was a huge highlight. I'd written that on my dream list of podcasts. Also, beautiful Bridget Esselmont from Biddy Tarot. She was on my podcast. So that was another huge highlight. I'd had her there that I would wanted to have her as a guest. So that was incredible. I also reached a pretty significant financial goal that I had set for myself. So that was really, really cool. Like I mentioned, it's been a huge year of travel. I also got asked to speak at an event next year, International Women's Day on the Gold Coast, and I was so excited. However, I'm going to be in India delivering the next retreat, so that was a bit of a bittersweet moment. Absolutely delighted to be asked to speak, but then couldn't do it. But that's okay. I'm sure that I will speak somewhere somehow next year, as it's one of my goals. Yes. Now here's the biggest shit sandwich of the year, which was actually having incredible pain, been taken to hospital and discovering I have kidney stone. And as I speak right now, I'm still sporting this kidney stone. I've had a stent put in from my kidney to my bladder, and I actually go in on Monday. So this podcast will actually be released after that I've already gone in. So I go in on Monday and have the kidney stone lasered and another stent put in and blah, blah, blah. So that's not been much fun at all. But I have, like I mentioned earlier, I've been working with my kinesiologist on the emotional load that I have potentially that has now I have this kidney stone. I don't know what you believe, but I often believe there's a beautiful book, The Body Keeps Score, that sometimes our body, not sometimes, our body is always talking to us and giving us messages. So the kidney stone, the first thing my kinesiologist said to me, which I just loved, she said, oh, bladder, kidney to bladder, bladder pissed offness. So what are you pissed off about? Which was quite funny. And then the kidney it was also connected to the emotion of feeling like you're going to be criticized. So as we know in this online world, everyone has a soapbox and everyone is able to express how they feel. Sometimes it can be really tricky, wouldn't you agree, to actually say how you feel in fear of upsetting someone or in fear of saying the wrong thing or not being the good girl, and being the people pleaser. So I feel as though I've wanted to speak more about anti-diet culture, beauty standards, and how women perceive themselves in aging. But I often find myself holding back in fear of someone disagreeing, not even disagreeing with me, but criticizing me, saying, oh, well, that's not right. Well, why are you saying that? But in actual fact, it's actually a good sign when someone does give you a little bit of pushback because you have said something that perhaps has ruffled their feathers. Isn't that a good thing? Isn't it okay? How does the stone ever become smooth unless it's rubbed the wrong way? I know myself, many times I've had to say sorry. I'll give an example. When we were away overseas with the family, the kids actually pulled like a bit of an intervention on me because I'd been a cranky bitch on the holiday, and they both just said at lunch this day, Emma, you've got to stop being cranky at Nana and being cranky at us. We're on holiday, stop it. And I had to actually say to them, you know what, good point, I'm sorry. I'd been a little bit frustrated and a little bit, and I wasn't probably the nicest person to be around, but sometimes it's okay for someone to say something to you. Feedback is often good. And if you respect the person, feedback is welcome. Sometimes we get feedback. If we don't know them, we don't respect them, we don't need to worry about it. So anywho, kidney stone is coming out next week. Send me love and light, people. I need it. We want this kidney stone to be gone. Now, I did want to share with you my top 3 books for 2024. I don't read, actually. I listen. Can we still count that as reading a book if you listen? I don't know. But anyway, I listen to a lot of books. So this year, my beautiful top book that I read was Be Your Future Self Now by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Incredible book. So I encourage you all to watch that. So watch that, listen to that, read that. Be Your Future Self Now. The second one was so I often listen to personal development books, but this one was a beautiful indulgence that actually had me missing the characters. It's actually called the Jaipur Trilogy by Alka Joshi. And it's all about India. Oh my gosh, these characters. It's 3 books. I literally couldn't stop listening to it. I kept, like, every time I was doing the dishes or folding the washing or in the car or going, I used to walk all the time just to listen to the book. Like, I'd have my walk do my 10, and I go, no, I'm going again so I can listen to my book, because when I'm walking, I feel like I can indulge and listen to my book. So that was incredible. And the other one was The Diet Free Revolution by the beautiful Alexis. Oh gosh, I thought I had it right in front of me. It'll be in the show notes, but The Diet Free Revolution, that was incredible too, by Alexis. She did an incredible book. I love that as well. And what else have I done this year? Oh, not to mention the countless Instagram reels and stories and posts, the Facebook posts, the amount of lives I've done. Oh gosh, going live in the 21 Minutes of Morning Magic group. I hate to even think how many times I went live, 3 mornings a week, most weeks. Goodness gracious. So yeah, things of the life of an online course creator, the life of a life coach. And I can't even, and I, you know what I didn't even put in there? The amount of one-on-one coaching I've done as well. I've done a lot of one-on-one coaching too. So that has been incredible. So I hate to even start to accumulate how many one-on-one coaching sessions I've done. So to all of my beautiful ladies who listen, a big thank you. I hope this has encouraged you to do a little bit of a recap on your year. If you are keen to join me for the Feel Alive in 2025, we will do a recap. So if you've listened to this and went, oh, that's great, Emma, you've had a fat old life, good for you. But you're driving or walking right now and don't take the time to do this, let's do it together. I will walk you through this, and then we will uncover your word, feeling, or theme for 2025. Now, I have actually landed. I've gone through the process. I've been in this beautiful reflection stage at the moment, and I've actually arrived at my word for 2025. And my word is, it's like a little drum roll. It feels like quite a blanket word, but it runs deep for me. And it is actually courage. My word, my feeling, my theme is courage. I'm going to be even more courageous than I've ever been in 2025. So look out. Emma will be pushing her own barriers and boundaries in 2025. And I hope you are too. So what's your word? Make sure it's got a little bit of grit and it scares you a bit, because it does scare me a bit. To be courageous next year scares me a bit. I want comfortable. I'm not doing comfortable next year. I'm doing courageous. All right, my darling friends, send me a reply if you enjoyed this podcast and it's inspired you to reflect on your 2024. Please send me an email. I'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings. Also, join me for the workshop. There's an online one, so if you are not on the Gold Coast, join me for the Zoom one. We'll gather live and I'll take you through the beautiful process of finding your word for the year. If you are on the Gold Coast, come and sit in circle with me. There is nothing more wonderful than a live event. Also, like I mentioned, there is that one spot for India still floating around. And stay tuned, because I have been swirling around. I've got some pretty exciting things happening in 2025 in terms of retreats, workshops, and gatherings. So stay on the EW train, because there's some fun things coming and I'd love you to be a part of it. All right, my darlings, go forth and have a gorgeous Christmas. And again, thank you for being here. All of your feedback and your care is much appreciated. Thanks, darlings. Namaste.